Respected government officials, dear lay devotees, I know it's very hot. You okay out there?
Yeah.
So if you need somewhere that is shady, please go find a place to sit down. Don't stay in the heat under the sun, okay? Aloka, would you like to say something? You want to listen to me or Aloka?
We want to listen to you.
Well, our life is like a roller coaster going up and down. Our path to this world has never been smooth or flat. Our path is like this. It cannot be like this. So whenever we expect our path, our journey to this life to be like this, we suffer. When we can walk on any type of path, road, up and down like a roller coaster, that makes us different from the others. For those people who has a really smooth and flat path, when things happen to them, they cannot bear those feelings. They cannot accept that those things happening to them. It's because we walk up and down like this. We build our strength. And we face all kind of challenge in life already. For that reason, if anything happens to us, it is easier for us to accept it. So I want you to understand, even though your life gone through so many challenges and difficulties, it's okay to stand up and walk again. Never give up. It really doesn't matter how bad it is. There's one time I went to Vietnam and I walked to my place where I sleep. And there's one poor lady follow after me. I hold one of the book on my hand and she asked me, "Venerable Sir, how much are you selling that book for?" I say, "No, it's not for sale. It's for gift. If you read, I can give this to you." She then said, "Venerable Sir, you are a Buddhist monk. You don't work. You don't have money. To print all these books costly. So how can you print it and then gift it to the people without paying, without charging?" And I respond, I said, "It's okay. I have supporters who pay for these printing services. Is my life, why does my life struggle and suffer and poor like this? Am I going to be poor like this for the rest of my life?" She cried and then talked to me that way, and I asked her to sit down, and then I addressed her. I said, "We have done so much meritorious deed in our previous life, but it's because of defilement. That is why we born in this lifetime being poor. It doesn't mean that you're going to be poor for the rest of your life. You can change this." How do you change this? If you have this much of sticky rice in your hand, and if you're happy with this much of sticky rice within your hand, you are the richest person in this world. If you have this much of gold in your hands, and if you are not happy with this, you are the poorest person in this world. Because we always asking for more and more and more. We have this much of sticky rice. If we cannot accept that, and we want to have a bowl of rice and some chicken or some beef, we suffer. Once you have that beef and chicken already, you want to have a beautiful house and a fancy car, you suffer. It's nothing wrong to ask for more, nothing wrong with it. It's just that greedy mind that of not accepting what you currently have is makes you suffer. At the same time, if you want to have a better life, you have to have effort and strong determination to work to make a living. But you still have to remember yourself. Don't be in a slave for money, materials. If you can do that, then you are the richest person in this world because you always happy with what you have. When your mind is pure, when your mind is acceptance, when your mind is clean, free of defilements, you are building a bridge for all the meritorious deed in the previous life to come to you. If you are not accepting, if you live with suffering, if you have all kind of defilements in your mind, means you are stopping all kind of meritorious deed in the previous life to come to you. For that reason, we always have to purify our mind. That is the Buddha teaching. And how do we purify our mind? Is through mindfulness practices. Mindfulness practicing isn't just sitting down and close your eyes, but in any postures, in any activities throughout our daily life, daily activities, and we are mindful with it. That is mindfulness practicing. But what if in the morning when you wake up, you find some time for yourself to sit down and close your eyes, relax, and focus on your breathing? It's because you are purifying your mind. For most of the time, we are stressed, anxiety, and depression. If you can have some moment for yourself to breathe, and then mindful with your breath, and focus on each and every breath going in and out, passing through your nostril, that is your beautiful day. Why the Buddha said, offering all kind of perfume, fragrance, and flowers and everything to the Buddha versus offering the practicing to liberate all kind of sufferings. That kind of offering is the top offerings. In the morning when you wake up, find some moment for yourself, sit down, and then breathe in and breathe out, be mindful with that. And then after that, just think of the triple champs, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Offer that merit of practicing mindfulness to the triple champs by thinking, with this practicing, I would respectfully offer this meritorious deed to the triple champs. If we can do that every day, that is the best offering ever in life. And that is what we should do to change our life. Besides that, every morning after you practice meditations or before you practice meditation, it's best to do this before practicing meditation. Get a piece of paper and a pen now. Write out the statement, say, today is going to be my peaceful day. Just write that down, mindfully writing that down, and then read it with your eyes, read it over and over with your eyes. After that, read it out loud with your mouth to tell the universe and to make that statement for yourself that today is going to be your peaceful day. So if anything happened within that day, you always remember, oh, this morning I have done that. This is my peaceful day. I will not mess it up. If all the people in this country of Sri Lanka do this one simple thing every morning, now I want you to repeat after me, okay? We going to repeat the statement, say, today is going to be my peaceful day. I want you to recite that, to say that loudly. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, I counted 3, and we're gonna say that together, okay? 1, 2, 3. Today
Today
is going
is going
to be
to be
my peaceful day.
my peaceful day.
Repeat it one more time, please.
Today is
Going to be
going to be
my peaceful day.
my peaceful day.
See, if all the people can just repeat this statement every morning, this will help ourselves and help the neighbors and the society and the country. What goes around, it comes around. What is go around? If you spread hate, angry, and delusion to the universe, the Mother Earth will return back with anger, which is disasters. Then we suffer. So now instead of spread hate, angry, delusion, and everything that is unwholesome to the universe, we only spread loving kindness, compassion, and peace message to the universe. Then the Mother Earth will return with kindness and compassion and peace. It means this world will be the better place for all of us to live. So I hope that you will take this message seriously. Take that into action and practice. If you are not paying attention to what I said, but paying attention to aloka, means that you are not mindful. That is exactly what I said. So we need to focus on one thing at a time, which is what I am saying and telling you, not aloka. So anything in life, if we are sidetracked, then we will suffer a lot. May you all be well, be happy, and be peaceful. And it's very hot. So you need to go home and get lunch and rest. And please don't take the babies out into this, under this heat to wait for the months. Thank you so much. Namo Buddhaya.
Under the sweltering, unforgiving sun of a Sri Lankan afternoon, Bhikkhu Pannakara addressed a weary crowd, setting the stage for a profound exploration of human suffering and liberation. The physical heat of the environment perfectly mirrored the internal frictions, anxieties, and relentless pressures that so often characterize the modern human condition. From the very beginning of his discourse, the monk's approach was rooted not in lofty, detached intellectualism, but in a deeply grounded, practical compassion. He paused his teaching to ask if the audience was all right, urging them to find shade and protect themselves from the harsh elements. This simple act of care served as the foundational metaphor for his entire philosophy, an acknowledgement of the harsh realities we face, coupled with actionable, compassionate steps to navigate them. His teachings, though delivered in a specific cultural and religious context half a world away, transcend geographical boundaries, offering a vital psychological blueprint that resonates powerfully with the frantic, pressure cooker environment of contemporary Western society. In a modern American culture defined by relentless ambition, notification fatigue, and an endless, exhausting pursuit of a sanitized, perfect life, Bhikkhu Pannakara strips away our contemporary illusions to reveal the raw, unvarnished truth of how we construct our own suffering and, crucially, how we can dismantle it. This dismantling process must begin with a radical reassessment of our fundamental expectations about the trajectory of our lives. Bhikkhu Pannakara vividly compares our journey through the world to a roller coaster, violently dipping and climbing in unpredictable, often terrifying rhythms. The modern Western ethos, heavily influenced by the promises of the American dream, conditions us to believe in the absolute virtue of a linear path. We are taught that if we follow the rules, work tirelessly, and make the right calculated choices, our lives will follow a steady, unbroken upward curve of financial success, emotional stability, and physical comfort. Bhikkhu Pannakara shatters this expectation entirely, stating unequivocally that the path into this world has never been smooth or flat. When we cling to the illusion that life should be a horizontal line, we inevitably suffer every time the track unexpectedly drops. This suffering is not inherently caused by the plunge itself, the lost job, the broken relationship, the sudden illness, but by the agonizing shattering of our fragile expectation that the plunge should not exist in the first place. Conversely, those who actively accept the roller coaster nature of existence develop a profound psychological callousing. By enduring the terrifying drops and the exhausting climbs without demanding a different reality, we build the very emotional and spiritual muscles required to survive the next inevitable crisis. People who are shielded from this reality, whose paths have been artificially smoothed by privilege or luck, are often the first to break when adversity finally strikes, entirely unable to bear the emotional weight of unexpected tragedy. Therefore, Our true resilience is not measured by our ability to maintain a flat line of success, but by our capacity to be thrown into the depths and still possess the fortitude to stand up, dust ourselves off, and walk again, regardless of how dark the circumstances appear. This hard-won, realistic resilience fundamentally alters how we perceive our current circumstances, particularly our relationship with material wealth and the paralyzing concept of lack. To illustrate this paradigm shift, Bhikkhu Pannakara recounts a poignant encounter with an impoverished woman in Vietnam who tearfully questioned why she was condemned to a life of destitution, while he was able to print and distribute books freely. Her despair is a universal reflection of the human tendency to equate material poverty with a cursed existence and an unfair universe. In response to her grief, the monk introduces a brilliant psychological paradox to redefine the very nature of wealth. A person holding only a handful of sticky rice, yet entirely content with it, is the richest person in the world. Meanwhile, a person holding a handful of gold, yet profoundly dissatisfied and constantly craving more, is the poorest. This teaching strikes at the very heart of the modern economic machine, which is sustained almost entirely by manufacturing perpetual dissatisfaction. We are culturally ensnared on a hedonic treadmill, constantly shifting the goalposts of our own happiness to keep ourselves running. We deeply desire the sticky rice, but the moment we have it, we suffer because it is not a feast of chicken and beef. Once we acquire the feast, we suffer because we lack the luxury home, the upgraded smartphone, and the expensive car. Crucially, however, Bhikkhu Pannakara does not condemn ambition or the effort required to improve one's circumstances. Earning a living, working hard, and seeking a better life are entirely valid human pursuits. The spiritual danger lies solely in allowing the mind to become a slave to these materials, falling into the trap of greedy non-acceptance of the present moment. True poverty, in this framework, is not an empty bank account, but an insatiable mind. Understanding that our wealth and internal peace are dictated by our psychological state naturally leads to the deeply uncomfortable question of why we find ourselves in difficult circumstances to begin with, and how we possess the absolute agency to change them. Addressing the Vietnamese woman's feelings of helplessness, Bhikkhu Pannakara touches upon the concept of past meritorious deeds and the inherent flaws of humanity, invoking the traditional law of karma. In the West, karma is frequently misinterpreted as a fatalistic, mystical ledger of cosmic punishment, a rigid system that demands passive resignation to our suffering because we somehow deserve it. However, the monk reframes this into a profoundly empowering mechanism of psychological cause and effect, an ongoing momentum of energy that we directly control in the present moment. He validates the woman's current hardship but firmly rejects her victimhood, assuring her that she is not doomed to be poor or miserable forever. She has the immediate power to alter her life's trajectory by changing the condition of her mind. A mind clouded by defilements, such as boiling anger, bitter resentment, insatiable greed, and the stubborn refusal to accept reality, acts as an impenetrable dam, blocking the positive momentum of past good deeds and present opportunities from reaching us. Conversely, a mind that is pure, accepting, and clear builds a wide, sturdy bridge, allowing all past merits and future possibilities to flow seamlessly into our lives. We are not permanently trapped by the circumstances of our birth, our socioeconomic status, or our past mistakes. We are the active architects of our future, possessing the ultimate agency to clear our psychological pathways and invite grace into our lives. To actually clear this pathway and construct this bridge of acceptance, however, we cannot rely on mere intellectual agreement or passive philosophy. We must engage in a rigorous, practical, daily methodology. Bhikkhu Pannakara identifies this active process as the practice of mindfulness, but he quickly reclaims the term from the sanitized, highly commodified version often marketed in contemporary corporate wellness spaces. Mindfulness is not merely the act of sitting quietly with closed eyes for 10 minutes a day to alleviate workplace stress so we can return to producing capital. It is a relentless, active presence maintained across all postures and throughout every mundane activity of daily life. He elevates this internal practice above all material religious offerings, stating that the supreme gift one can offer to the divine is the actual, difficult, messy work of liberating one's own mind from suffering. To ground this lofty spiritual goal into daily reality, he prescribes a highly specific, actionable morning ritual. Before the day's chaos begins, one must find a quiet moment to sit, focus entirely on the breath passing through the nostrils, and then physically write down a definitive declaration. Today is going to be my peaceful day. This sentence must be written mindfully, read silently to internalize the message, and finally spoken aloud to declare the intention to the universe. This multi-sensory ritual acts as a powerful cognitive anchor. By setting this definitive parameter at the very start of the day, we train our neurology to recognize, filter, and diffuse stress. When the inevitable frustrations of modern life arise, this anchored intention serves as a psychological emergency brake, reminding us that we have already claimed the day for peace, and we will absolutely not allow external chaos to sabotage our internal architecture. The true test of this internal architecture, of course, is how it withstands the relentless barrage of external chaos, a dynamic the monk brilliantly illustrates when an unexpected disruption occurs right in the middle of his lecture. As he speaks, the audience's attention begins to drift away from his profound words and toward a wandering temple dog named Aloka, who is ambling through the crowd. Rather than becoming frustrated or simply ignoring the animal's interruption, Bhikkhu Pannakara seamlessly integrates the dog into his thesis. He points out that if the crowd is paying attention to Aloka instead of the teaching, they have entirely lost their mindfulness. In that moment, the temple dog becomes the ultimate metaphor for the endless parade of unpredictable diversions in our modern lives. For the Western audience, Aloka is the buzzing smartphone vibrating in our pocket, the petty office drama, the breaking news alert designed to induce panic, and the relentless, algorithmic noise that pulls us away from our higher purpose and our present reality. The monk warns that we must focus on one thing at a time. If we are constantly sidetracked by the wandering dogs of the world, we will remain endlessly trapped in our own suffering, entirely unable to build the bridge of positive karma or maintain the peaceful morning intentions we set for ourselves. Mastering the mind requires the discipline to acknowledge the distraction, to see the dog walking by, but consciously choosing to return our focus to the breath, to the lesson, and to the path forward. This intense, disciplined focus on the micro-regulation of our individual minds does not occur in a vacuum. It radiates outward, possessing the terrifying and beautiful power to fundamentally alter the macrocosm of our collective reality. Bhikkhu Pannakara invokes the universal truth that what goes around comes around, warning that our internal psychological states have direct, devastatingly real external consequences. If an individual, or a society, continuously broadcasts hatred, anger, and delusion into the universe, Mother Earth will absorb that toxic frequency and return it in the form of disaster, conflict, and widespread suffering. In our modern era, characterized by deep political polarization, social fragmentation, and an overarching sense of climate anxiety, this ancient teaching is starkly, urgently relevant. Our collective global crises are quite literally the aggregated result of our individual, unmanaged resentments and our endless consumer greed. The antidote offered is as clear as it is challenging. If we consciously choose to replace our broadcast of hatred with loving kindness, compassion, and messages of peace, the world will respond in kind. This turns the quiet pursuit of personal peace into the ultimate act of radical social responsibility. We cannot ever hope to engineer a peaceful society if the individuals comprising it are raging with internal conflict and distracted by every passing shadow. True, lasting change in the world does not begin in legislative chambers, on social media, or on battlefields. It begins in the quiet, disciplined spaces where a single human being decides to respond to the universe with compassion rather than fury, takes their peaceful intention out of the shade, and walks steadily back into the heat of the world.